For many people, when you hear about AI and you hear about things like ChatGPT, you have no idea what it means, or you think you can't understand it because it's beyond you, or you think it's something that you would never have any use for, any benefit of. And so I'm making this introduction video to help bring some understanding of this in a way that you can not look at AI as only being something that could be destructive, but see how it could be very empowering for basic everyday people. And right now, ChatGPT in its basic form is actually free for anyone. You can just go online, get a free account, and you can do the things I'm about to show you. I have a paid subscription, and I'm doing some very serious things in business with this. So based on my experience in using it for real to actually make money and get work done, I'm going to give you a very quick overview of some of the most basic things you can do with it, and in the end, some things that are not so basic and are really useful. So let's start with a very simple thing. And to do that, I'm actually going to start in Google, not in ChatGPT. So here we are in Google, and I'm going to do a search on a very basic question. The question is, how many liters are in a gallon? And when I hit enter, it's going to search and find the answer for me and bring to me what it found. It does it very quickly, and so it seems to be incredibly useful. It actually is useful, but it's not the best that humanity can do. So instead, we're going to do this very same thing, but we're going to do it in ChatGPT. We're going to ask the very same question, and this is ChatGPT. Before I start using it, this is what it looks like. For some people, this is one of the problems. It's so empty that it's like, what on earth do I do with this? It's empty because it really wants you to have a conversation with it. There are two models. There's the older version 3.5. I favor using version 4 because it has superior reasoning. It's slightly slower in the way it responds, but it can handle more complex questions, and I love to ask it complex questions. So by default, I'll always use GPT-4. But here's our question. How many liters are in a gallon? And so this is how it answers. It answers in a way that's more communicative. It answers as if it's really trying to make sure you fully understand. We could actually say, explain this with greater detail. And so you continue the conversation, and it goes deeper. And so if you were writing a blog and you had to address something that you know a little bit about or even know nothing about, but you need to write on a highly competent level, this is the kind of thing ChatGPT can easily assist you with. As you can see, the answer is far more comprehensive. And believe me, we could go much further. You could go so far. You could actually write a book on just this question if you really wanted to with ChatGPT, but it would be amazingly boring. So let's ask another question, and this is kind of like the whimsical fun part of what you can do with an AI. How many lollipops would fit into a 15,000-gallon swimming pool? Things you always wanted to know. And so it doesn't simply give you the answer. It gives you explanations and leads you to the answer. And as you can see, it gets quite geeky and scientific. And if we wanted to, we could actually simplify it And we'll do that. And so it tells you that it's 1.25 million lollipops to fit into that swimming pool. So let's say, explain it to me like I'm a 6-year-old. And so it changes the whole conversation, talks about a toy box, and it gets to where it's something more digestible. If I were to really make this for 6-year-olds, I would shorten this even more, because 6-year-olds they'd fall asleep by the time they got to the end of even this. And you could go through the process of shortening it as well. But we'll move on. We'll ask it a similar question, but you will see by this question, which is similar, that it can trigger for you some real world questions you might have for it. How many 10-speed bicycles could fit into a semi-trailer? I could replace the with a. And so this gets into space utilization assessment, and you could start to think about packing, shipping, things that have practical real world uses, and this could help you solve. I wouldn't take the answer from ChatGPT and make a business decision on something like this outright, but I would take its answer and put myself in the ballpark so I could have some sense of scale, some sense of the scale of the number that would be practical. So here it says, in a semi truck you could fit 76 bicycles. So at least it's not 200, it's not 25. And so in the time that it takes to answer this in ChatGPT versus you searching through websites and Google and comparing answers and figuring things out, this is one of the practical values of this. Artificial intelligence is man's attempt to create a machine version of the human mind. It's the attempt to simulate the human mind. The positive part of AI is that it can simulate many of the elements of how we think, and when it does that, it can do that at a speed and at a breadth and depth that is so much better than what we can do that it can make us feel very small. And if you gain a better enlightened perspective on it, it can make you feel very empowered, because you have this tool that you can now use to not be limited by your limitations.